afternoon, everyone present here, the dignitaries and the participants of this prestigious international conference on the happening topic of sustainability. I'm Dr. Shivakumar, Assistant Professor from Department of Management Studies, Vishweshwara Technological University, Mysuru. Today, I'm going to present a research paper on working capital management, liquidity, and profitability, a relationship in Indian realty sector, VECM approach, that is econometrics approach. To just give a brief view why I have selected this topic and other things, we all know realty sector is one of the significant sector which contributes majorly to the growth of the economy. Realty sector is a predominant sector because it has contributed nearly 30, it is going to contribute nearly 13% to the India GDP by 2025, with the value being estimated as US dollar 1.72 billion in 1920. The estimated value of the sector again estimated at 120 billion by 2030. The CAGR of the sector is also significantly recorded at 19.5 by 2028. So we know by these numbers, we know that the sector is performing really well, sector is contributing significantly well. So that let us try and understand what is happening in the sector in terms of the financial performance, especially with respect to working capital management. Working capital management is a day-to-day capital which is required for every business organization, without which no organization can run their business at all. There are many studies available on working capital management and its subcomponents called as inventory, liquidity, inventory, receivable, and payable management. But majority of the studies have used the traditional method of assessing the performance, that is the short-term performance, using many variables of working capital management. So the reason for choosing this topic is I just wanted to apply the econometrics model to find out whether there is a long run and short run relationship between working capital management and profitability, and liquidity and profitability. We all know how important the liquidity for an economy to sustain in the long run as well as in the short run. To get into the literature part, there are so many studies, as I mentioned earlier, on separate studies on inventory management, cash management, and receivable management. We all know profitability of the companies are very, very important. If I have to enhance the profitability as a company, then I have to manage my working capital, that is the short-term capital, very effectively and efficiently, so that profitability can be enhanced. And we also know that profitability, liquidity also affects the profitability. So we have to even take care of the liquidity process also. So in this study, working capital, how it is affecting the profitability and how liquidity affecting the profitability, both in the short run and long run, are being conducted or assessed. The literature shows Cyprus Stock Exchange used the multiple regression using the working capital management and profitability in 2010, taking the CCC profitability and other aspects. And the other studies also supported this. Recently, 2021, Eres, Anton, and Nuku have also supported this study, saying that highlighting the importance of working capital management. In 2014, again, Brijlal and made the study on working capital management on the small and medium term enterprises in South African countries using the normal traditional approach. A study by 2013 using the working capital management, and they have employed the technique called as econometrics models, and they have also found out a long run relationship between the working capital profitability and the liquidity. So there are plenty of studies available on this. So let us look at what exactly the methodology part. The methodology happens to be like this. Firstly, I wanted to study the effect of working capital management on profitability and how the how liquidity affect the profitability. The study covers 13 firms from the Indian realty sector These firms includes large cap, mid cap, and the small cap. Together, 13 companies are there. The data from 2012 to 21, and I have made two groups, two models to be very specific. One model includes working capital and profitability. Here, CCC is one important measure taken as independent variable, and ROA is taken as dependent variable. And the control variable we have used as debt equity and even the firm size also. In the second model or second group, again ROA as is continued to be the dependent variable, and current ratio that is considered as a liquidity aspect is used as an independent variable. Again using the debt equity as a control variable. Here, the part of the analysis, we have used the panel unit rule test and the panel co-integration test and the VCM models to find out the relationship between working capital management and profitability, liquidity and profitability, both in long run and short run. And the discussion of the results of the study shows like this. Since we know this is the time series data, we have to find out the stationary of the data, whether the data is found to be stationary at the level itself or at the first difference or at the second difference, so on. So the data found to be non-stationary at the level. Some variables, especially CCC and DE, found to be stationary at the level itself, but the other variables, current ratio, fixed firm size, and ROA found to be non-stationary. So I have to move on to the first difference, taking the first difference. At the first difference, the data found to be stationary. By looking at the p-values, most of the p-values found to be 0. So it shows the data is stationary at first difference. Then the second part is panel co-integration. So we wanted to know whether there is a co-integration between the variables or not. So the first model says this CCC is used as working capital variable, and these two are the control variable, and this is used as a ROA is used as a dependent variable. By looking at this Pedroni residual co-integration test, if you look at the p-value here between the group and within the group, the hypothesis is rejected that there is no co-integration. The hypothesis is rejected. It means there is a co-integration. That means there can be a integration among the variables, so that we can find out whether there is a long-term relationship or short-term relationship exists. So that is what is being mentioned as a part of finding. If test statistics are significant within and between the dimensions, hence it confirms the co-integration in the group 1, that is group 1 or model 1. Now the VCM result also shows the co-integration factors also shows CCC. If you look at the t-value is more than 3 here. That means it is significant. That means working capital is affecting the profitability. If there is a change in 1 unit of working capital, there is a change in the profitability by 0.2789. So these signs need to be reversed when we are interpreting, because as per the VC model, these signs needs to be reversed. So there exists a long run relationship which is highlighted by the error correction model. And I have also checked the short run relationship using the wall test. Again, the chi-square value, the p-value is less than 0.05. It shows there is a relationship between, there is a short-run relationship between working capital management and profitability. So both the error correction model and the wall test both shows there is a significant relationship between the working capital management and profitability, both in long run and short run as well. Similarly, the model 2 also shows the same thing. Model 2, here we are checking the relationship between liquidity and profitability. Current ratio is used as liquidity, and the D is used as the control variable, and ROA is used as a profitability variable. Again, the ADF statistics, automatic Dickey-Fuller model, that statistic shows the probability, that is p-value is less than 0.05, both between and within the dimensions. the model is fit, model is fine. It confirms there is a co-integration in this group also. This model, I think this should be group 2, not group 1. And the VSCM result for relationship between the liquidity and profitability, both in long run and short term, highlighted by this slide. So long run relationship, again, the error correction model also shows the same thing. It is more than 1.96. If the p value is more than 1.96, it can be considered. It will be significant. So that means if there is a change in current ratio by 1, there will be a change in the profitability, that is ROA by 0.77. That means there is a long run relationship between current ratio and return on asset, that is liquidity and profitability. Similarly, the short term relationship will also show the same. P value again 0.05. It is higher than 0.05, but definitely it is significant at 10% level. That means we can still conclude saying that there is a short-term relationship between current ratio and ROA, or liquidity and profitability. So even the model 2 also confirms there is a long-run relationship between liquidity and profitability, and short-term relationship between liquidity and profitability. Same thing is being mentioned here. Now, overall concluding, why to check both long run relationship and short term relationship is because liquidity is very, very important. Majority of the company have failed, whether it is a large cap company or mid cap or even small cap companies have failed literally in the market just by ignoring the liquidity part. So having a sufficient balance to run their business activities day to day is very, very important. This model helps us to understand the long run and the short run relationship between working capital and profitability, and liquidity and profitability. Hence, the companies can come up with a better liquidity, better policies on liquidity and profitability, so that they can run their show effectively and efficiently. So that is what my conclusion and suggestion to the companies operating in the Indian realty sector. These are the references which are used for the analysis and the study.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shivakumar, sir. Very nice presentation.
Thank you.
You compressed a lot of information in short stipulated time. That was very nice.